Yo, the earth is flat. Back with another edition of The Plain Truth, exposing the global deception. Today I'm going to do a video about a topic that I've touched on quite a bit, actually. I've done a 3-part video on it. It's called Cain is the Seed of Satan, and can be found on my YouTube channels. Unfortunately, it's split up. I have two YouTube channels. One is The Plain Truth, T-H-A, plain, like an airplane, or the flat earth, truth. The Plain Truth, and the other channel is Yoda Earth is Flat, ERFIZFLAT. Do me a solid and hit subscribe on both of those channels. Trying to get that up so I can get some more activity going on there, more views, and hopefully some more likes. That way we can get the word out. So if you have not seen those videos, you might want to start with that. Especially if this topic is new to you. That being, and I'll just do a quick summary, just to catch up to speed, so you at least know what we're talking about. If you don't know anything about this, found in Genesis is the fall in the garden. Obviously, that's a pretty well-known story. You know, it's usually taken, metaphorically, not that it's actual fruit. And even if it were, what I'm going to propose, and this is not my idea, my philosophy, my interpretation. This is one that I lean towards based on my studies and the Spirit. I've been studying for about 10 years, actually. It's just very taboo that this story is sexual in connotation. All right? So the eating of the forbidden fruit was sex with Satan. That's what Eve did. And it was actually like a menage, if you will. All right? And Satan and her husband Adam had sex with her. And the result of that was twins from separate fathers. Not just separate fathers, one being of a different race, a different extraterrestrials, if you will, fallen angels. So this is an actual scientifically proven fact that a woman can give birth to twins from separate fathers. How does that happen? Well, it's not identical twins. It's not one egg that splits. Okay? When you have fraternal twins, usually the egg didn't split. There were two. And if it did split, it split prior to being fertilized. So, now if there's 2 eggs, right, just because a woman has sex doesn't mean that they're going to be fertilized. If she does, one or both can get fertilized. In the case where she has sex with 2 men, either in the same day or in different days, doesn't matter. If one man, manages to get one, just all it takes is one sperm to impregnate one egg, but doesn't manage to impregnate the other, well, she's going to have one child, and the other egg's going to flush out, right? But if the other male, with all of his hundreds, thousands, or millions, whatever it is, sperm, manages to get one to penetrate that other egg and fertilize that egg, the woman is now going to carry 2 babies from separate sperm donors, from separate fathers, that is. In this case, from 2 species. All right? If this interpretation that I'm presenting to you is correct. Now, what do I have to back this up? Again, there's 3-part video that I've done on this, so I don't want to do too much of a summary because I'll get caught up 20 minutes on that. I want to jump into the new stuff. Go to my YouTube channel, The Plain Truth, hit subscribe, and check out Cain is the Seed of Satan. If you like it, hit like, okay? Hit share. Do me a solid, let's get the word out. And then found on the channel I use more, really, is Yoda Earth is Flat. Yoda, Y-O-U-D-A, right? Earth, ERFIZFLAT, Yoda Earth is flat on YouTube. You'll find part 2 and part 3 of Cain is the seed of Satan. It'll bring you up to speed. The new stuff. In addition to all of the words like no, the word no, like Adam knew his wife. The word no, knowledge, can mean sex, right? And the fruit, right? Be fruitful and multiply. The fruit of your loins is what? Children. So forbidden fruit. There's fruit, right? So in addition to that, you have the names code. That in and of itself is just a fascinating study. The names code being, starting in Genesis chapter 5, we have the genealogy of Adam, right? And that happens to be the genealogy of Jesus Christ, because that's the same family, a bloodline, all right? Now, if you look at that genealogy, what you'll see is that because the men lived to be so old and had so many kids, they don't name every single child. They name the firstborn, and then the rest are omitted. And then as they continue to tell you about that family line, that oldest son that was mentioned, they'll say, he lived X amount of years before he had his first son, and then they name that son, right? So Adam's had Seth, and Seth lived another 100 years, and, let's see, it should be right here. And Seth begot Enosh, right? And then it'll say Seth lived, whatever it was, another 700 or 800 years, had loads more kids, but it doesn't name them. It only names Enosh. And then when it talks about Enosh, it will name his oldest son. And so this is how it goes for thousands of years, all the way to the birth of Christ. Now, the fascinating thing is if you take these names, let's say the first 10 names of Jesus' lineage, right, of Adam's lineage, found in Genesis 5, and you write them underneath each other, and then translate next to it what it means in Hebrew, okay, you will get a story. And the story is a summary of salvation through Jesus Christ. And it's an amazing message, clearly embedded in the Bible, in a code of name, within the names. When you pull out the names, is how you get the code. And you can say, oh, well, it's a stretch, or it's random. It's not, trust me. Look this up for yourself. Now, I pretty much know it verbatim. I don't know all of the names, and I don't want to waste time. I don't have those written down. But the first 10, starting from Adam and Seth, would go down to Noah being the 10th. You would get this message. The God-man came down teaching that his death shall bring those in despair comfort and rest. So Noah, that 10th name, means comfort or rest in Hebrew. Look it up. Grab your phone. Look it up right now real quick. Noah means comfort, rest. Adam, the first name, means God-man, original man, right? The God-man, the original man, right? So the God-man, or the God-man, comes down teaching Enoch. That's the name. That's the word that means teaching, instructing, right? To instruct, teaching, teacher, right? Enoch, teaching. So the God-man comes down teaching that his death shall bring those in despair comfort and rest. That's the story of Jesus Christ, folks. Now that in and of itself is an amazing story. But how does that relate to Cain as the seed of Satan? Well, I'll tell you. Because when you read Genesis chapter 5, which in my Bible right here is subtitled The Family of Adam. This is the book of the genealogy of Adam. In the day that God created man, he made him in his likeness of God. He created them male and female, and he blessed them and called them mankind in the day they were created. And Adam lived 130 years and begot a son in his own likeness after his image, and named him Seth. After he begot Seth, The days of Adam were 800 years, and he had sons and daughters. So all the days of Adam, he lived for 930 years, and he died. Seth lived 105 years and begot Enosh. After he begot Enosh, Seth lived 800. So that, just like I explained, that's how it goes. Right? But you don't hear Cain's name in there. Because Cain is actually the oldest son. So that should raise a brow. Because for thousands of years following this, it's always the oldest son, which makes sense. But the oldest is Cain, but Cain's not mentioned. Neither is Abel. Abel is also older than Seth. So if you go a little bit prior to chapter 5, you have where Cain killed Abel, right? So that's one reason Abel's not mentioned, because he's not able to carry on the line. But why isn't Cain mentioned? It could be argued that he was kicked out of the family, and so that's why he's not listed. Decent argument. But I think it's deeper than that. I think he is the seed of Satan, the seed of Lucifer, the fallen angel, because it was sexual, and there was offspring. And that is because Satan wanted to have children and his people in his likeness, because he wants to be like God. Knowing that about the story of the Bible, this should make sense to you. Right? Satan wants to imitate and be God and do everything that God, who is Jesus Christ, right, does. So God made man in his image, so Satan wanted people in his image. And God had made those people to worship him. Satan wants the people to worship him. Okay? Right? So now, if you take Cain's lineage, which is mentioned prior to his own father's lineage, right? So chapter 5 is the family of Adam. Chapter 4 is Cain murders Abel. And if you go down all the way to verse 16, you have another subheading in my Bible, which says, the family of Cain. Then Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. And Cain knew his wife. There's that word knew. And it's very clear that it doesn't mean he met her. It means he had sex with her. And it definitely does, because let's read it in fullness. And Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. So the word know or knowledge is sexual, right? Again, see my video in Cain is the seed of Satan, right? Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Enoch. And he built a city, and he called the name of the city after the name of his son, Enoch. Enoch was born Irad, and Irad begot Mehujael, and Mehujael begot Methushael, and Methushael begot Lamech. I'm not going to go on forever with this. His line is actually very short, but it's important that we hear this. Lamech took for himself 2 wives. The name of one was Ada. The name of the second was Zillah. Ada bore Jabal, and he was the father of those who dwell in the tents and have livestock. His brother's name was Jubal, and he was the father of all those who played the harp and flute. And as for Zillah, she also bore Tubal Cain, an instructor of every craftsman in bronze and iron. And the sister of Tubal Cain was Naamah. So, all of these names here now in Cain's line, if we take what we've learned from the names code, right, that there's a names code, and that names code, by the way, I gave you the first 10 names and what it means. That names code continues for thousands of years all the way to the birth of Christ, and continues to give you a summary of the Bible, of what's going on in real time, which is no coincidence. Believe me, that's ridiculous to even consider. But if we take that knowledge of the names code, and this is how I discovered that this existed, I said, when I realized that there was these 2 lines here, that Cain wasn't listed in Adam's lineage, I said, let me use my resources, and because it's very easy to find out what these names mean using the internet, and make my own list and find out, is there a hidden message for Cain's line? And there is. I've built it up quite enough. It's 15 minutes. So here we go. This is the line of Cain, the family of Cain, which is found in chapter 4 prior to his own father's line. If his father is Abel, which I don't think it is, I believe it's Satan. And that's why he has his own line prior to Adam's. Here's the names. Cain, Enoch, Irad, Mehujael, Methushael, Lamech, Ada, Zillah, Jabal, Jubal, Tubal, Cain, and Namah. Now, before I read to you what those mean, what I discovered those mean, I'm going to add a name in there, which it's found in the Bible, and it would be the serpent, the dragon, right? The liar, the deceiver, Satan. It's the one in the fall, which is chapter 3. It's the fall in the garden, prior to the ones that we just read a little bit out of, right? If you take that first person who we're proposing is the father of Cain, actually, right? The seed of Satan, right? Cain is the seed of Satan, the serpent seed. We can use that, and it would make good sense. Or we can use another name for him, which is Azazel, and that is found in the book of Enoch, which is not in the Bible, however, is mentioned in the Bible and actually referenced by Jesus himself, and I believe it is a credible book. And if you're a flat earther, I'm sure you believe it to be a credible book, or at least an interesting book, with food for thought. Definitely suggest you look into it. But in the book of Enoch, you have Azazel, who is the comparison to Satan, the serpent, the deceiver, the liar, right? The beautiful one we know, the brilliant one, the anointed one, right? That fell from his glory. Azazel, if we superimpose that name in there before Cain's, here's the story we get. You get Azazel, Cain, Enoch, Irad, Mehujael, Methushael, Lamech, Ada, Zillah, Jabal, Jubal, Tubal, Cain, Namah. And the coded message is the scapegoat acquired a dedicated, trained, stubborn fugitive, smitten of God, who proclaims God to be made low, the beautiful one to pass by in the shade, to make dark, and stream, a conduit or flow, to carry and bring the way of Cain, or the world government and pleasure. Wow. Certainly sounds like some satanic, unravelings. And I'll read it one more time, because that's what I built all this up for. Look this up for yourself. The names that appear in the Bible, Cain to Namah. The name we're adding is Azazel, found in the book of Enoch. Azazel means the scapegoat. What is the scapegoat? The one who's blamed for wrongdoings, right? The one who's blamed, right? So the scapegoat, also there's the goat name, goat is in that actual word, right? The scapegoat, Cain means acquired or begotten. The scapegoat acquired or begot, right? Enoch means trained, teacher, right? It also means dedicated, right? Irad means stubborn ass, right? Or fugitive, it can mean. Look this up yourself. Mehujael means smitten of God. Methushael means man of God, but look deep also, it can also mean who proclaims God. So if you take that interpretation, which is a very credible one, of Methushael, who proclaims God, and then go to Lamech, which means to be made low, right? To Ada, which means beautiful, right? Or to pass by. Zillah means shade or to make dark. So you could get this story. Let me read it one last time, and then we'll close. The scapegoat has acquired a trained fugitive smitten of God, who proclaims God to be made low, and pass by to make dark, and stream through, and carry or bring the way of Cain, the world government and pleasure. Pleasure, of course, being sin. And another thing I find fascinating is you might want to look this up first, especially if you're a truther, right? Or you're a believer who's into, end time prophecy, or understand what the New World Order is, right? The one world government, which we are in fact watching unfold right now before our very eyes. I've been saying that for 10 years now that I've been truthing hardcore. Those of you who have been following me. But it's very apparent that these things are happening right now in real time. In real time. So look up Tubal Cain. What does Tubal Cain mean? It means world government. It can also mean, again, there's different translations. You gotta look, but the most common one is world government, or it means to make the way of Cain, Tubal Cain, to bring about the way of Cain, to make the way of Cain, the way of Cain, right? And also Jubal, the word Jubal ties into that. It means to carry or to bring, right? So you have this carrying out or bringing about. The name before that, Jabal, means to stream, conduit, to flow. A conduit, it's like it's coming through. It also is there's so much cool stuff in this. Conduit, like electric. Think of AI, right? Think of who is Satan. He's also the Lord of the air, right? He's the God of the air, right? So there's all of these things pointing to Cain and the Antichrist. A little bit more before I close. If you look into here, where Cain is cast out, a little bit higher up in I want to say verse 11, it says, "So now you are cursed from the earth, which has opened its mouth to receive your brother's blood from your hand. When you till the ground, it shall no longer yield its strength to you. A fugitive and a vagabond you shall be on the earth." And Cain, fugitive. And Cain said to the Lord, "My punishment is greater than I can bear. Surely you have driven me out this day from your face to the ground. I shall be hidden from your face. I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond on the earth. And it will happen that anyone who finds me shall kill me." And the Lord said to him, "Therefore, whoever kills Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold." And the Lord set a mark on Cain, lest anyone finding him should ever kill him. So Cain has a mark on him. Who else has a mark? The beast, who is Satan, has a mark, right? It's called the mark of the beast. And we're also watching that unfold right now. The mark of the beast we won't be able to buy or sell without having it. We've thought for a long time it would be a tattoo. More recently, truthers, including myself, thought it would be an RFID chip. That a tattoo was a little bit barbaric and a little old school. And that it would be tied to the one world currency, which would more easily, operate on microchips, like the chip in your debit card and like the chips that already exist that people already have inside them already. Totally equipped for your information, your medical information, whether you've gotten your COVID vaccination or not, as well as your banking information and your whole record will be on there. But now with all these recent COVID things, we know that COVID is certificate of vaccination ID, and 19 is code for AI, right? 1 is A, and 9 is A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I. AI, it's numerology, right? COVID-19 is certificate of vaccination ID, AI. which is what they're trying to do, is connect us to this world system, right? And I don't know how many of y'all know this, but it's proposed one of the biggest companies that is making this vaccine, the way that it would be administered would be, it's a Band-Aid type thing. It's got a backing. You take the backing off. Underneath it are teeth like little things that will prick you, right? Like fang-like things, like the snake, which is crazy. There's all of this symbolism. And it will inject the serum into you, right? The inoculation, but it will also be laced with something called luciferase, which is a bioluminescent ink. And what that means is it won't show up on you, but it will glow when lit, and it'll work with the apps on your phone. This is all real stuff. You can check it out. Right? So that mark, they're going to put these vaccines will have something that will show that you've received it on you. You can't see it like a Nazi tattoo, like the concentration camp tattoos, because it's not just black tattoo ink. It's something called luciferase. Look that up. This is all real stuff, which is a bioluminescent ink, which means it can glow inside of you. All right, when lit. This is so true. I'm not even kidding you. And that's what the mark of the beast is. Right now, you can't buy or sell without having a mask on, right? But soon, because this is to preface it to this new world order, clearly described in the names found. Sorry, my Bible's so beat up here. I use it a lot. In chapter 4 of Genesis, the first book in the Bible, is the names code of the serpent seed, who is Cain, who was not in the genealogy of Adam and his brother Abel, who he killed, his half-brother, if we are correct. Those of us who believe that the fall in the garden was sexual in connotation. I hope you all enjoyed this video. I'm going to wrap it up here. Probably going to do another video soon. Kind of moving forward from this. It's been on my mind for a long time, but then again, I've got some other topics that I want to talk about also. This whole New World Order unraveling, before our eyes right now. The defunding of the police. There's been a video I've been wanting to make for a real long time, that I think is important I get out, that I want to title my confession, No Usher. And in that, hopefully I can set some things straight that might be floating around out there. But anyway, I thank everyone who watches my videos, follows my content. Remember to go to my YouTube channel, especially since this Facebook thing seems to be getting shut down, or super censored rather, starting next month in October. You can find me on IG at Yoda Earth is Flat. YouTube channel is Yoda Earth is Flat, and also The Plain Truth. Hope you enjoyed this edition of The Plain Truth, exposing the global deception, and we will talk to y'all next time. Thanks again. God bless y'all.